Chapter 2, The Earliest Societies. We are not sure as to when exactly man, as we know him, came into being. Anthropologists have discovered skulls and bones of creatures which seemed to be neither of a man nor of an ape. In the book on the origin of species, Charles Darwin explains his theory of evolution. According to him, all species have to struggle for their existence. Naturally, it is the fittest and the strongest who survive. Thus, man is supposed to have slowly evolved from apes. According to popular belief, man first walked on all four limbs. Later, he started walking on his legs and was known as Homo erectus. The development of the brain led to the modern man or Homo sapiens. Early man belonged to the prehistoric period of history. This period is also called Stone Age because stone was the only material that was widely in use for making tools. Based on the type and quality of tools used by the early man, Stone Age is divided into four phases. The Stone Age, Paleolithic Age, Old Stone Age, 5 lakh BC to 10,000 BC. Mesolithic Age, Middle Stone Age, 10,000 BC to 8,000 BC. Neolithic Age, New Stone Age, 8,000 BC to 4,000 BC. Chalcolithic Age, Copper Stone Age, 4,000 BC to 2,000 BC. The Paleolithic Age, 5 lakh BC to 10,000 BC. Life during the Paleolithic Age. The first modern man, Homo sapiens, seemed to have lived on Earth about 5 lakh years ago. Except about the last 10,000 years, this period is known as Paleolithic Age. Paleo means old and lithic means stone in Greek. Much of the human history belongs to this age. Our knowledge of this period is quite little as we have to depend upon studying the remains, bones, crude stone tools, and paintings in caves and on walls. The life of early man was basically spent prowling about in jungles and swamps, protecting himself from others and searching for food. So they had to keep moving and thus were called hunters and food gatherers. They lived a nomadic life. They often moved in groups so as to help and protect one another. They lived in caves and hollow trees. They did not have any idea of constructing houses to protect themselves from wild animals and harsh climatic conditions. They used leaves, animal skins, and barks of trees to cover their bodies. They thus led a miserable life. Tools. A number of tools belonging to this age have been found. They look very crude, but there is no doubt that they were made by human hands. Initially, these stone tools were heavy, crude, and unpolished. Most of them were made of flint, a stone that chips easily. They were mainly made from large stones by striking off bits from them till they had the desired shape. Most of them were quite heavy and might have been used for different purposes like digging and even cutting meat into pieces. Food. Early man had to eat whatever nature provided. At that time, they had not learned to grow food plants or to farm. They collected edible vegetables, fruits, roots, nuts, insects, and also ate the flesh of animals and birds which they killed, or even fishes if they could catch them. Many plants and trees bear fruit in a particular season. So, early men moved seasonally in search of food. They followed the movement of animals. Animals moved from place to place in search of their own food. So, hunters had to follow them. The search for water also forced them to move from one place to another. Discovery of fire. The discovery of fire may have been accidental. Sparks produced while rubbing two stones might have been observed and then experimented with by the early man. Fire brought about great changes in his life. He learned to use fire to protect himself as he realized that the animals were scared of fire. Fire kept him warm in the cold weather. It also provided light at night. Slowly, he learned how to use fire to cook and thus made meat easier to digest and tastier. At Kurnool, Andhra Pradesh, archaeologists have found traces of ash indicating the use of fire by our prehistoric men. Art. Fire increased the period of activities of the early man as it provided light. It was during this time that the early man began to paint scenes of hunting or wild animals on the walls of caves. Such cave paintings have been found in different parts of the world. The early man used charcoal to do wall paintings. Many of such paintings survive till today and give us a glimpse of the life led by the early man. Rock paintings show early man's artistic development. First, outline drawings were made. Slowly, he learned to fill in the forms he made. It seems that early man used the art of painting to communicate his feelings and emotions as he had not yet developed the art of writing or a script. In India, cave paintings of the Paleolithic age have been found in the caves of Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh. The cave paintings found in the places called Lascaux in France and Altamira in Spain, belonging to this period, are world famous. Paleolithic settlements. Most of the Paleolithic settlements have been found near the sources of water, that is, either near the rivers or lakes. Though some sites have also been found in the areas where good quality stones were available. These sites, where the early man made tools from stone, were called factory sites. The early man lived in groups as it gave him security and protection. He could also hunt better and gather more food in a group. There must have been a sense of equality within the group since there was no private property and the entire group was involved in hunting and food gathering. The Mesolithic Age, 10,000 BC to 8000 BC. The Mesolithic Age or the Middle Stone Age coincided with important changes in the climate of the world. Around 12,000 years ago, till about 10,000 years ago, the world had become relatively a warmer place. Grasslands developed in many areas, and the number of animals that survived on grass, like deer, goat, sheep, and cattle, increased. In India, microliths have been found in the Chota Nagpur region of Jharkhand and on the banks of the river Ganga in Uttar Pradesh. Tools. In the Middle Stone Age or the Mesolithic Age, men learned to make smaller, sharper, and more efficient tools called microliths. These small tools were about 3 mm to 5 mm in size and were probably stuck onto handles of bone or wood to make tools such as saws and sickles. Early man was creative enough to devise different techniques for making stone tools. In one case, a stone was used on another stone for making the tools. One stone was used as a hammer on the second stone to make tools. Another technique was when a stone was used on another stone or bone to remove flakes that were then shaped into tools. Life of the people. In this period, early man learned to lead a settled life with the beginning of agriculture and rearing of animals. Man also learned to produce some of his own food as he learned how seeds grew into plants and produced food. This meant that man did not have to constantly move in search of food, as now he was learning to grow it on his own. Neolithic Age, New Stone Age, 8000 BC to 4000 BC. Man started to lead a settled life and began food production. They settled near water resources and thus began development of villages and later community. Animals began to be domesticated. It was during this period that wheel was discovered that influenced the future in many ways. Tools were now better shaped and polished. Nature worship became common and people began to believe in life after death. Chalcolithic Age, 4000 BC to 2000 BC. Copper began to be used to make tools and weapons. Later, other metals were discovered and alloys were made. Major civilizations came into being during this period were Indus Valley, Mesopotamian, etc.